started. We start the show with tomorrow's solemn anniversary. Joining me now is Congresswoman Diana DeGette, Democrat of Colorado, who co-managed Trump's second impeachment, and former Capitol Police Officer Harry Dunn, who defended the Capitol on January 6th. Starting with you, Congresswoman, tomorrow Congress will certify the election, the 2024 election results, and the presidential, of course, certification of the presidential election exactly 4 years after the January 6th insurrection, which led to then-President Trump's second impeachment, which you co-managed. Trump has said on the campaign trail and social media that one of the first acts of his second term would be to free hundreds of rioters convicted for that attack. What would be the impact of that?
Well, first of all, Rev, thanks for having me on. And Harry, thank you for defending me when I was in the gallery 4 years ago in the Capitol. Those insurrectionists, they were trying to do something that's never been done, which is reverse the results of an election. Over 1,000 of them have been tried by a jury of their peers and convicted and sentenced. It is simply against the rule of law and un-American if those people get pardoned. And I can't even put my mind where that would be. I think it's outrageous and it's against everything we stand for in this country.
Mr. Dunn, I want to thank you again for your courage. You're a true American hero, which you did 4 years ago. And I want to play a few words from Congressman Benny Thompson this morning on MSNBC as the incoming president promises pardons for those that participated in the insurrection and threatens members of the House Select Committee that investigated it.
We stand by the work of the committee. Obviously, the Department of Justice, who finally decided to move forward, brought a number of indictments and people in jail. And now this president-elect wants to call them patriots. And that's so unfortunate. Every time I see windows being broken, objects being thrown at law enforcement staff and members of Congress running for their lives, I still shudder that how can someone come back and say that those individuals did that were patriots.
Mr. Dunn, what's it like to have put your life on the line 4 years ago, only to hear the incoming commander-in-chief praise and lionize the people who attacked you and your fellow officers and go after the people you were defending that day?
Well, Reverend Al, thanks for having me. Congresswoman, it's good to see you. We knew that this was coming. This is one of the reasons why I worked so hard this summer, this fall, to do everything we could to get Kamala Harris elected. I'd like to turn around and point the blame at two groups of people stand out to me. One is specifically Mitch McConnell, when he asked for a personal favor to not impeach Donald Trump. If that was the case, we wouldn't be here right now. And then secondly, the American people, the people that didn't think that it was enough. They didn't think that what happened on January 6th, Donald Trump's comments before, during, and after January 6th was enough. What me and my coworkers went through on the January 6th, it wasn't enough to disqualify him from returning to office. You know, I've had a lot of faith in the institutions of Congress and the Senate and the courts, and they all failed us. There was one more, fail-safe to stop us from Donald Trump, and that was the American people, and that failed also. So it's kind of disheartening. It's almost like a gut punch that I feel like this country let us down. There are millions and millions of people who stand strong and against Donald Trump and against what happened on January 6th, but it's truly a gut punch that But we knew that this was coming. Donald Trump made it a campaign promise. He ran on pardoning those people. He called those people patriots while he was campaigning. This isn't something new. It's just unfortunate that now so many people are up in arms about it when he's been telling us this for months and months, almost years, that he was going to do this.
Now, staying with that, Congresswoman, it's not just the Capitol rioters that the president-elect has been celebrating publicly. Last night at his Mar-a-Lago resort, He hosted a screening for a documentary on his friend, John Eastman, who played a massive role in his efforts to overturn the 2020 results. Also among the guests were other key Trump allies involved in those efforts, like Rudy Giuliani, Peter Navarro, and Michael Flynn. What do you take from that, with this anniversary looming tomorrow, Congresswoman, that he would show that documentary last night and have among his guests those that were part of it?
Well, Donald Trump is still obsessed with what happened in the 2020 election. And I myself, and I think my colleagues, we strongly oppose, obviously, any efforts to deny what happened that day. And Officer Dunn is exactly right. When I was an impeachment manager, we presented our case to the Senate, and at the end of our case, Mitch McConnell went down to the Senate floor, and he pretty much admitted that Donald Trump had committed these acts, but he said he wouldn't vote to impeach or to convict because he thought the courts should do it, and then the courts didn't ask fast enough. So what I think we should do is not be like Donald Trump and living in the past. We should look forward to see what Donald Trump and his allies say they're going to do to the American people. Because when the American people look at these tax cuts that Speaker Johnson and the Republicans in the Senate and Donald Trump and Elon Musk said that they're going to do, it's going to devastate many millions of Americans. There'll be tax cuts for the top 1%, and Medicare and Social Security will have to be robbed for it. So I think we need to stop getting diverted by Donald Trump and his obsession with the past, and we need to take seriously what he's planning to do. We need to stop it.
Mr. Dunn, I want to ask you, as a former law enforcement officer, President Biden is headed to New Orleans tomorrow following last week's deadly terror attack that killed 14 people there and then himself. Investigators have new developments in that case tonight, which we'll get to later in this show. But with this upcoming transition of power, are you confident in the president-elect's ability to lead the nation in a time of crisis like this and what you've been through?
Well, Reverend Al, I appreciate that question. And I really hate when you politicize, well, not you, but when events like this get politicized, because there were real victims, there are real family members out there that are having to plan burying their loved ones. And, my heart goes out to those individuals. But to answer your question, it is unfortunate that politics does play a role in this. I mean, if you just look at his pick for the FBI to lead the FBI, Kash Patel has already said he wants to root out what he views the FBI as the deep state. The FBI is leading this organization. The FBI, the men and women, are doing their work to make sure events like this do not happen. And sure, yes, this was an unfortunate event that did happen, but the FBI, those men and women, prevent so many things that we don't know about. And just to have a hyper-partisan individual to be suggested to lead that organization, I don't believe it sends the right message to the American people.
All right. Thank you, Congresswoman Diana DeGette of Colorado and former Officer Harry Dunn. Joining me